Welcome to this episode of the Faster Than Lightspeed podcast. I am your captain and ruler, Kenny Lightspeed.
Ruler?
And this is my servant.
Supreme Commander. Second hand. Right hand.
But you're still a servant, like I said.
No.
You're my servant.
A servant of high regard, perhaps.
You haven't said your name yet.
Joey.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I almost said my...
I'm gonna cut out all those titles that you just put in.
No! You
just
can't
say
that.
No, I won't do that. I'm gonna be lazy with this one. Okay.
Good.
We're back. We've had a hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
While we've been catching up with real life stuff. But we're back for the summer. Summer of Lightspeed.
Summer of Lightspeed?
I'm declaring it now. It's the Summer of Lightspeed. Okay? Do we want to do... We could do podcast news right off the bat. We have a website now. Our website's finally up.
Website.
You are able to listen on there if you don't want to listen through YouTube. Because it's just audio.
Mm-hmm.
We don't earn anything from this.
No.
This is just for our own satisfaction.
Yes.
It's really dark. I didn't turn on the lights in the room. Should I turn on the lights?
Okay.
Talk while I walk over to the lights.
Oh my gosh. You got so sloppy. I kept everything like really cool and like professional.
Okay. Well, now we can see each other.
Yes.
So, but we've done some stuff over the break, right? What have you done over the break? You can leave out some of the stuff that we're going to talk about in the episode anyways, but what have you done in the break? I
finished my first year of college?
No. Oh my gosh. I've been playing Elden Ring.
You've been playing Elden Ring?
Yeah, I've been playing Elden Ring.
Okay.
That's fun. I like that game.
We've been trying to play Lego Star Wars, but one of us doesn't really want to play all the time. They think it's hard to get into.
It's not that I don't want to play.
It's because it's on the Xbox.
We could do some after this, probably.
Yes!
I've still been busy up until right now.
You have been.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm pretty clear. What else? There was Elden Ring. That's fun. That's a fun game. I don't know if I'm playing it right, because, like, I just level up and then kill the bosses on, like, my second or my, like, first or second attempt.
That's not me. I take several attempts.
I kind of boost myself.
I feel like you're playing the game as it should be, and I'm, like, always, like, at the bare minimum.
I don't know how it's supposed to be played. Because I went back to a dungeon in, like, Limgrave, in, like, the starting sort of region, and found a boss that I killed in 5 hits. I'm like, I'm too buff for this area.
Yeah.
So my build, I have a 2-handed swords, generally. I have a claymore right now. That's my big thing. That's my weapon that I've been leveling up.
You have to level up your weapons?
I mean, you can upgrade. You upgrade them.
Okay, I thought you meant like...
That's what I mean by leveling up. Because you go from like 0 to like nothing to +1, +2, +3, and so on.
I'm at +3. What? I'm stuck at +3. It says I can't upgrade it any further, and I wonder
certain smithing stones. Like there's like different level of smithing stones.
But still, it's not.
You need runes to pay for the upgrade.
But is there a cap? There has to be at like 25, right?
I have no clue what the cap is for upgrades. I've seen smithing stones up to like 3, maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Because I have a lot.
I can never tell because it always says like smithing stone number and then another number. One is like the level smithing stone and then how many you have. Like now that you've picked that up.
Yeah.
I can never remember.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
So that's the game that's a game I've been playing. Have I beaten the Halo Infinite campaign on Legendary since our last episode?
I don't think so.
At least I don't think I announced that. But I did do that. I've got like 5 achievements left in that game.
Okay.
And now like they're actually achievable because now they have attrition and elimination in there. Mm-hmm. Which you have to get like 4 revives in a match of either elimination or attrition, which seems just annoying. That's going to be like the hardest one. Oh, outside Lasso. But even Lasso, I don't know how difficult Lasso is going to be. Lasso could be fairly easy.
Yeah.
Or it could be extremely difficult. It's definitely not going to be easy. It's either going to be it's going to be either moderately hard or impossible.
Well, you got free ammo.
Yeah, they have infinite ammo. It's just going to be the shields and your health.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start looking up. I don't know if I want to do that before co-op campaign comes out. Because that could just make it more fun. Not even necessarily easier, just more fun to do that. To do it for the third time.
Yeah, I want to go finish my Legendary playthrough. Because I haven't finished just Legendary.
Oh. Legendary is easy. Pretty much. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when you upgrade all your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a couple like rooms that are like, okay, come on. Can I get through this room, please?
Yeah. I just have so many other games I want to play.
Yeah, I get that.
I'll finish it over the summer.
Have there been other games?
I have no idea.
No. Have there been shows that you've been watching that we're not reviewing today?
We've been watching Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, we've been watching that, which we'll have a review of that once the season ends, because that's a week-to-week thing.
Superman and Lois, but
yeah,
that's
That's
ongoing.
that's ongoing. They keep taking these hiatuses, dude.
Dude, it's unbearable.
They've gotta stop. Supposedly it's due to pandemic stuff yet, but
I don't buy that.
It seems strange. Maybe because they're filming in Canada, so I don't know what it is over there.
Oh.
I think they film a lot of those CW shows in Toronto area. So, or something like that. It's Canada. I know that's where they film The Flash.
Okay.
So, and that's where they have the Kent Farm as well. It's a set in Canada. So maybe something weird going on there.
Must be.
What else? Have there been other games? What games?
Games?
Games? I don't think I've been doing any other games. I don't think so. I've been rewatching Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes, you have.
Because for this we will be reviewing Picard season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me want to rewatch Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Doctor Strange. You didn't see Doctor Strange yet, have you?
No, I'm watching it this weekend.
I thought you were going to go see it for $5 Tuesdays.
We talked about it. But ultimately, everybody was busy, and I didn't want to go by myself.
You should have just gone by yourself.
No.
You should have gone by yourself, dude.
No.
Should.
No.
We could have been reviewing that instead. I want to hear some thoughts from you about that movie. There's some things that I never would have thought happened. Like, really? Okay.
Okay.
Like, not even like, oh, I can't believe maybe they got this actor or something. I don't know. It's like, really? Like, would anybody recognize this? I don't know. Outside of like the hardcore people, I don't know. And like, I don't want to spoil it for you.
Don't worry, we'll do it next week.
It's so, yeah, you gotta see it this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Next week, maybe Halo and Doctor Strange if I get through Halo.
Yeah, you have to get through Halo. We need to review that. Like, there are people waiting for a review for that, legitimately.
Seriously?
I think
Who's
so.
waiting?
I think so. There might be a couple people waiting for our review on that.
Oh my!
We need to review that, okay?
Okay.
Like, there's no doubt in my brain we have to review that, okay? Yeah. So, like I said, our topic for today, we have two TV reviews. We have Moon Knight. We're gonna start with Moon Knight. Do you want to do Moon Knight first?
Sure.
I'm going to start with Moon Knight, which is the Disney Plus television show starring Oscar Isaac. And then after that, we will get into Picard Season 2. The new Star Trek Picard Season 2.
Okay, what do you give Moon Knight? What's your score?
We're starting off with score?
I think we need to.
Why? No, we have to Are we gonna do spoilers now?
I think we do spoilers right away.
We're not doing non-spoilers. This has been out for a little
This is a streaming thing as well.
Yeah.
If you don't own Disney Plus by now, you're not buying into
or
it.
don't
to go
have
watch
some
Moon Knight.
way to pirate it. Even we don't sanction that.
No,
We would never say
No,
that.
if you want to go be a pirate, go play Sea of Thieves.
Go Sea of Thieves. So Moon Knight. You just want to do the score.
If you
right
don't
away?
want to,
we don't ever do score right away, dude.
No, we don't. I think this is a
We're
change of pace.
No, we're not doing score right away.
Okay, you don't want to change? Okay.
So how many episodes were there in this? I'm gonna look it up.
8, I believe.
No, there's only 6.
6?
Wait, no, what? There's only 6 episodes in the show. This is the shortest one. And to be straight up, I liked it. I went into this not really knowing what to expect. It was a new character.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the trailers, I wasn't sure if I was going to care for it because there was a lot of the Stephen Grant. Ooh, I might be a murderer in my sleep. While I'm asleep. And Oscar Isaac's kind of strange British accent. I'm not crazy keen on his British accent.
I'm not.
I have to be honest.
Yeah,
And I didn't really think I would care for that character in the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that.
But his British accent, it's fine that it doesn't sound well. Because he's not British.
Because even the character himself is
he's
not
British.
Yes. So that's an interesting thing. Because I wasn't sure if they would ever straight up reveal who the prime personality is, like who he actually is.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's Mark Spector with a split personality. That's
We're gonna go.
a British kid.
We're gonna break into a rant real quick if we.
I love in the, I think it was the first episode where he ends up in, was it the Netherlands or where in that village, and he starts blacking out as Stephen, like it's from the Stephen Grant perspective, and he's blacking out, and he comes back and he's like beat up everyone in the streets. I liked a lot of that. I wasn't sure. I liked that dynamic, and then I loved how they reversed it. Mm-hmm. When Mark Spector was in control later in Egypt, right? Mm-hmm. To instead of everybody got beat up, he's let everybody go. Mm-hmm. I loved how they twisted that around. I thought all of this was pretty clever. How'd you feel about the costume?
It's the most basic costume. I like the Shazam costume. So
did you like the Mr. Knight or the Moon Knight?
Oh, just Moon Knight.
I
thought it was okay to go show the different characters.
The Mr. Knight. Yeah, I liked that too, how they represented the two with the different costume.
Mr. Knight outfit, I think actually needs some tweaking. It's very charismatic and like very like unique, but also
I don't know. I think it's kind of it's supposed to be more gentlemanly.
Yeah.
You know, which is what Stephen Grant is versus the warrior Moon Knight costume. I kind of like that.
I think it should have a hat. Like a fedora.
I can understand. That's just not comic accurate, though.
No, it's not.
It's not comic. Why would you need a hat?
I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Maybe that would be interesting. If you can find a picture of Mr. Knight with a hat.
With a hat on.
I think that would be pretty good. I think that could work.
Yeah.
So that's kind of us getting into the main character. What about the supporting characters? What'd you think about the villain?
Oh, I think we're going to talk about Layla. Dude, he has glass in his shoes. He has glass in his shoes.
What's glass? He was in, I forgot to bring this up, a movie that I saw during our break was The Northman, which I don't like. I don't like that movie very much. I think it sends a weird message that to me doesn't make any sense. I should have went on that rant. I forgot I was going to bring that up.
We'll have an episode where we just talk about the worst movies ever made that people like.
No, it's just our hot takes. That's what it'd be. It's not that. Because I don't think that's necessarily a horrible movie. I just don't like it. I don't like it very much.
We'll also talk about the Joker.
But he was in there, and he was like the Viking king that basically gets murdered. He's Mufasa, but a Viking.
Mufasa.
So, and I liked him. He was okay in there, and I liked him in this a lot. I liked him as this villain, as this cult leader. You know, and they say that he was basically Moon Knight before. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, no, I'll serve this other, I don't believe in this kind of justice. Do you think he was justified in any way? Like, instead of punishing, right? I don't think he was really
No.
justified. I would imagine that.
I'll shake my head no, guys. I know I didn't say no, but my brother looked at me and just like, yeah, no, I didn't think so.
So, what was I saying?
I don't know. Was he justified?
Well, I was saying that from his experience, probably as Moon Knight,
Mm-hmm.
and he probably has killed or fought so many people that have done crimes, and he has to punish them after the fact. I'd imagine over time that would kind of wear down on you, and make it feel like, well, maybe we should just stop it from happening. And especially if you learn that there might be some sort of magic that some crocodile lady has that could predict whether or not that will happen. I would imagine that would be enticing for you, right? Yeah. What do you think about Khonshu?
I don't trust them, but
Yeah, they really make him out to. That was interesting. He's definitely not like this good guy.
no.
Like, he's not some benevolent. He's almost like, in terms of D&D, he's like a patron, isn't he?
Yeah,
like
he
a
is.
warlock patron.
I thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until now. That's interesting, right? Because in D&D, you get to pick your patron, who's just this otherworldly being that gives you your power. Yeah, he's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
I didn't think about that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then it's weird that. Do you think Mark Spector, like, willingly decides to follow him? Like, what would happen if he just stopped? Like, he just stopped following him?
If he stopped listening to
Yeah.
his stuff.
Like, he would have to just leave. He still has his own free will.
Because what was it?
He would probably just leave and then have him be dead, I guess?
Part of the fear that he had was that Khonshu would move on and try to,
Yeah.
what is it?
Take Layla.
Yeah, use Layla, his wife, right? That was a big fear of that, right? And that's what he tried to make him promise as well. In the end, though, we find out that's a third personality. This chauffeur driver that they don't get into at all. It's like a last second reveal. Who's a thing from the comics I've seen.
Yep.
I've seen videos about that.
I mean, they kind of spoiled that twist, by the way.
A little bit.
Because they hinted out through the entire show.
They hinted that there was something else
Yeah.
would take over his body sometimes, or a couple times when both personalities would black out and what just happened. I thought that it could have been Khonshu was just full on taking over. But there was also when they were in his brain in the psychiatric ward or whatever, there was another sarcophagus that had somebody inside.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, there's another personality in there.
Yeah.
So
But with that, I was thinking that his name is Jake, right?
Jake Lockley, this third personality, yeah.
Like, the whole village thing. How many times was that with just Jake and we just didn't know?
Right.
Because I think he killed people there. I don't know how much Mark really kills.
I don't know. I think Mark will kill.
Mark does.
He's not as brutal.
We've
though.
seen it.
He's pretty. I think Mark is more like a knife, and Lockley is more like
A machete?
a hammer. Like, just smash everything, and just don't care.
Yeah.
And that's more what.
Yeah.
That's more what Khonshu wants. He just wants a weapon to use, and that's more what Lockley must be.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Layla?
Her character was okay. Yeah, she was kind of interesting. I liked her being able to superhero.
I did not like that
at the end. I liked it a little bit. Give her some chance. Overall, she was interesting. I don't know. There was nothing like super memorable about
Oh, yeah.
stuff that she did, right? Other than like, oh, you were there when my dad died.
Which they kind of gloss over the fact afterwards.
It was a little confusing.
Like, after the reveal that
I feel like they should have done a flashback to that scene and actually show Mark
I think there's
get
more.
betrayed.
I just think there's more to be told with Jake. When did Jake come into existence?
Guess we don't know.
Did Mark get Steven the museum job?
No, Steven probably got his own.
Because Layla married Mark, right?
Right.
Where was Steven all that time? Like, obviously, he started losing control of Steven?
You're saying that there was some amount of time. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
There's a couple plot holes with the whole
split personality thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, if you could control it and have Layla not even know about Steven at all.
Yeah, there's a bit of timeline stuff that they don't really explain.
Yeah.
Much
Like, why just all of a sudden does...
Because there was some gap between him being summoned by... Or him making the pact with Khonshu, meeting Layla. Like, he was definitely... He was probably super young by that point. I think that's before.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably finds Layla to even say sorry or whatever. Falls in love, gets married.
Yeah, he already has his powers by then.
And yeah, what's going on with Steven in that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
When does Jake get introduced? I'm guessing after.
I don't care much about that, though. I don't know. How do you feel about the whole backstory of, like, what Stephen Grant...
Okay, now this is where we differ.
Okay. Because they go into the whole... They go to Mark's past, so it's like confirmed Mark is the prime personality.
Yes. Amazing. Great.
Okay.
They should have killed Steven. They should just kept him dead.
That's not what I was asking. I was asking how you felt about he was some
Oh, you're okay. I got a little ahead of myself.
How do you feel about him being this way for him to cope with being beat as a kid?
Oh, I liked...
Because his brother died in a cave.
Yeah. I liked Steven more than Mark up until that episode.
Wow.
Then after that episode, I'm like, I don't care about Steven anymore. Steven's not real to me. To me, it's Mark. It's all Mark.
Right. Because it's obviously...
Yeah.
It's a mental... it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like... They try to make it up like, oh, he has two souls living him inside him.
He was only able to get to the afterlife when one of them died.
It's right. It's like not really. That doesn't really make sense to me.
No, it's like, not that way.
Yeah, it's not even. You're trying to say that that he has multiple souls in him with multiple, and that's what multiple personalities is.
It can't be.
I don't think that.
He didn't create another soul when his backstory really happened.
Right, like this guy, Stephen Grant was named after. Basically like an Indiana Jones type character that he watched on TV, played by Lord Aelfric from The Last Kingdom.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, I know that actor from somewhere. Oh, yeah. It's from The Last Kingdom. I like that show.
Yeah. The minute that happened, I was like, I don't care about you, Steven, anymore. I don't care. It's all Mark.
Because he's not real, pretty much.
Yeah. He's imaginary.
I did like how...
Great backstory,
They try to give him a purpose like, oh, he's the archaeological knowledge, right? Mark is the combat skill, right? And more of the espionage, warrior skill, and he's more they try to make him into the brains, but
he's not really
he's not like smart in a lot. He's smart in Egyptian archaeology. Yeah. Which, I don't know. Maybe other types of archaeology, but is that a big thing that he's going to encounter all the time?
Maybe he's going to get smarter in like other things as well, but like who knows?
Right. He might have been doing languages, but it seemed pretty Egyptian focused. Yeah.
I think maybe he starts to branch out. I don't know. I don't know how he can. They share a body.
So you've got a problem with them basically killing and then bringing back Stephen Grant.
Yes. Why? What was going through their minds?
Because it's redemption, Joey. Because Stephen is Mark's new brother, okay? And Mark lost his original brother, and that's what basically destroyed his life. Or that's what made his life way into hell. Because he lost his brother. Was it his fault? Not really. What was his parents doing when it started raining? They knew they were going to this cave or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
Kind of. Why would you even let them play in a cave? Like, what?
Did her parents know that they went into?
I think they know that. Oh yeah, don't be careful in that cave. Pretty sure they said that
I don't know.
because they were making a beeline to that cave.
They were making a beeline.
Like, really? To me, it's the parents' fault. Let them play in a cave. You know what's in that cave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could. Who knows? Get trapped in there. It's just waiting for it to happen. So, what was it? But he lost his brother because of that cave. So he has to. This is some sort of redemption. He gets to save his new brother, which is Stephen Grant. That's what it is.
I disagree.
How do you interpret it?
Until that last episode, it was like Mark was using Steven as a coping mechanism to kind of deal with his mother.
Okay.
And by going through all these memories,
he doesn't need that coping mechanism.
Yes.
I can understand.
And he
that
decides to kind
perspective.
of get rid of that, and by having Steven go away, he kind of more so kind of forgives. Not forgives, but kind of lets go of that kind of wall or barrier.
Okay. I can understand that way of viewing it. But with the ending of that, I think it leans more my way.
Of course.
Like, I understand how you might have interpreted it based on episode 5, I think, where he ends up in the sands. So, yeah, I can understand that, but for me, it was more of a redemption for his brother, pretty much.
Clearly, that's what it is.
So,
but
you're still mad about that.
I'm mad about it. I am so furious about it.
Which is crazy.
They're promoting mental illness.
In a way.
Yeah, it's not great. I wish he got rid of that. I wish Steven was gone.
But then you'd still have Jake or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of a part of what Moon Knight's powers is, which is he has these personalities that have different specialties or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I don't know how appealing that is. But it's definitely interesting.
I know. Well, I thought they maybe won't do much with this character after the show.
Yeah, because Oscar Isaac is not on contract to make any other appearances.
Yeah. There's been no season 2 confirmed, and I feel like if there was going to be a season 2, they would have hinted at it.
Like they would have announced it.
Yeah. Which means maybe a movie.
I don't know if I need to see much more of him, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have been okay with maybe.
This is pretty self-contained and pretty satisfying in terms of its conclusion, in my opinion. Something interesting here. I don't think they reference anything else in Marvel in this whole thing, do they?
No.
I don't think they mentioned the blip, which they've mentioned in like every other one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, they've mentioned in pretty much every other show. So this was like the first that they do mention in Doctor Strange, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the first new thing since like Endgame that I don't think mentions the blip at all.
Yeah, there was no flashback to this character that got blipped and then they got back. It's like, what's going on? What's going on with the world around us? And then everybody's coming back.
Right. I'm still trying to think of. I guess Black Widow probably did it?
No.
But I don't count that because that's a prequel, pretty much. Yeah. So I don't know when they would have.
Yeah. They hinted at by showing Hawkeye during the blip.
Right.
Yeah. How did you like the mental hospital? Where Steven is he imagining all this?
Right. I don't know what that is.
Because this is the point where we connect the dots, which is maybe they didn't mention the other Avengers because Mark is actually in the hospital and he doesn't really even know that the other Avengers are out there.
I don't really understand what you mean.
That this is all in the hospital, actually.
That's all in his brain? None of it's real?
Yeah. And that's why we don't see any other Avengers reference.
So you're saying this is Joker?
Yes.
No, it's not Joker.
You disagree?
It should not be. If it's Joker, I don't think it's Joker.
I'm split on it. We never got a conclusion to like the mental health hospital stuff, which makes me feel like it's going to continue.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Not really.
I thought we did. There was. I just don't remember.
I feel like it kind
what
of just
it
ends.
was. No, there was some conclusion. I just can't remember what it was. I remember there being a conclusion to it.
Okay.
It was something about how it was when Ethan Hawke's character, I forget his name, like realized that I am bleeding because I have glass in my shoes. It was something like that, and then something snaps, and I think that was, and there was a revelation that this was like in his brain or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
think there's going to be people arguing about this forever.
Eh.
And I think that if there will be a movie about Moon Knight or a season 2, that mental hospital gonna be still a thing that they kind of keep going back to.
Okay. I give this a 1.
Scores?
Yeah, I give it a 1.
I give it a 0.
Okay.
I can't.
So it's a total of 2. Because 1 0 is 2.
No.
That's what it is. That's what it is. That's how our
my
system
0
works.
is first.
No, it's not. My number's first because because I'm the ruler.
Oh, boo. No.
Second because you're the servant.
No. No, I think it's great, the show. Does not deserve a 1. There's just better things.
So you don't think people should watch this show?
No.
Just not at all. You're saying don't watch this show.
Yeah.
Weird.
Because I just don't. Ultimately, I don't see the point.
Not even to see the talking hippo and crocodile.
No.
Those were pretty well generated creatures.
Yeah.
This giant crocodile and giant.
If you want to see a crocodile, go look at Alligator Loki.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, this was better than Alligator Loki. This thing was like bipedal. And it had dreadlocks.
Layla gain powers was like, was this necessary?
I kind of liked it.
Steven should have gone away. Jake was cool.
So yeah, that's a total of 10 or a total of 2.
A total of 10.
Not
that
10.
Would break our
of 1 0, a total of 2.
That would break our scale.
All right, are we gonna dive into Picard season 2 now?
I got a document. Now this is the long part of the podcast.
Okay, because we're at 32 minutes right now on the recording.
We got through Moon Knight pretty fast.
Yeah, I knew that one too.
I was shocked that you didn't really argue with me, saying, "Really, you didn't like Moon Knight?"
So Picard season 2 ended 3 weeks ago now.
Yes,
it's 2 or 3 weeks ago. The same day that Strange New Worlds came out, it ended.
Mm-hmm.
This show. So, do you want to start off with our thoughts from season 1?
Yes.
So, because season 1, we're not as harsh on season 1 as some other people probably are. I thought it had some redeeming qualities. I think it expanded the universe a bit more. Even though that some of it felt like it didn't quite fit characterizations of certain groups and stuff.
They made the Federation seem like the bad guys, or at least Starfleet.
Right. So this goes into in season 1. They set it up, first episode, Federation's in kind of a bad place right now. They haven't met up to their obligations and their charter, right? Their codes. And Picard is left. He's living out by himself on his vineyard that he owns somehow, even though nobody has property or whatever in that world. So this
given
season,
to him by the government.
So this season, well, it was his family's or whatever.
Yeah.
So
all wealth is inherited.
So this season, they start out the opposite. Starfleet Federation, they're in a good place right now. Everybody from the first season 1, they're in a good place. They're traveling across the galaxy, meeting with people. Rios is a captain of the Stargazer, which is Picard's, first command. Elnor is the first cadet in Starfleet, first Romulan cadet in Starfleet.
Raffi's like a professor.
Raffi's
Finally
doing
got
something.
Finally got off her drug cabin that she was on forever.
She stopped vaping. Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever she was doing.
7 of 9's kind of doing the same thing though, isn't she? She wasn't really doing much.
You're right. She's
different. She was the odd one out.
She's a ranger. What does that mean?
I don't
You're
know
a ranger.
what that means.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think she is like, I don't even know. She's like some sheriff pretty much out there, just doing whatever.
Yeah, like ranger. It's a very broad term. Do you do cattle?
No, I think they're like what a ranger would have been in the West. Like you're out on the frontier, and you're just trying to help the law in ways that I don't know how it worked. Where was I? And Picard is like chairman of the academy or something. He's like top of the academy.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up this good world, because instead of for season 1 where they're like, we're gonna build a better world, like over the course of this one, it's basically that we're gonna rip it away from you, and the characters have to get it back. It's like, here's a cool world. The world's nice, and nope, never mind. Flip a light switch. Everything's evil now. It's the mirror universe, except it's not. It's an alternate timeline.
The timeline is messed up.
It's like, so, because it's this whole season's so messed up.
Should I just go through my notes?
You could.
Should I go through my first one?
But yeah, the overall plot is that, right, they answer a distress signal, which ends up being the Borg.
Yes.
The Borg board the Stargazer.
Mm-hmm.
They're about to self-destruct it, and they get sent to a alternate timeline, which is basically evil federation called the Confederation. Oh.
The Confederacy.
Where Picard is basically a warlord. Not really warlord, but he's a brutal general that has killed basically every character that's not human.
Yeah, did you see the Gul Dukat cameo?
There was Gul Dukat. There was Martok.
Yeah, there was Martok.
There was the Grand Nagus, I think was in there.
Something, right? Some Ferengi.
There was a Gorn in there, I think. Classic Gorn. I still want to see a classic Gorn. I think we might get that in
we will.
Strange New Worlds. They will spin some.
They've mentioned Gorn.
They've mentioned Gorn in Strange New Worlds. I really want to see some classic Gorn. We haven't seen a Gorn since Enterprise, I don't think.
They mentioned Cisco, which I don't know what Cisco would...
They mentioned a General Cisco.
We don't know which Cisco.
I guess.
I argue that it could be any Cisco. Any possible Cisco.
But that was pretty much like, here's a bunch of Easter eggs for things that in this world are dead.
Yes.
And to me, that's not even that interesting, because it's not from the real universe. This is in some alternate timeline that I don't really care about as that much. I think the Scotty losing Admiral Archer's beagle in Star Trek 2009 is more interesting than some of those Easter eggs. Probably not, though. But they do that, and they're like, oh, we gotta fix this by going back in time. Because everybody that... They don't explain how the cast from Picard Season 1 even gets teleported to this alternate timeline. Do they?
You mean all of them? Just them in particular?
It's the cast from Season 1, right? Picard, Rios, Girardi, not whatever the android girl is for some reason, because she's on some other planet.
Yeah, I know her.
Raffi, Eleanor, and 7 of 9, who were all there. Pretty much everybody that was there gets teleported to this timeline for some reason. They don't say why, though.
Q.
Do they even say that was Q?
It was
why would Q do that? I don't understand.
I don't know. What's this?
Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't get
Q
it.
was... Spoilers for this season.
I don't understand what triggers this timeline being made. If it's them self-destructing the Stargazer, that's what makes this timeline?
No. Q basically says that he basically saved them by sending them back in time.
But, like, this whole thing is circular. So they go back so they end up going back in time to the 2024, where they were there? I don't even really remember what their goal is. What was their goal? It's to make sure that Picard's ancestor, Rene Picard, goes on this
shuttle
mission
where
to Europa or whatever.
Yeah, where they find
some form of alien life.
An alien bacteria or something.
But supposedly, the reason she's not gonna do that is because of Q. Right?
Q's her therapist.
Q's her therapist that is pushing her towards not going on this mission. Okay?
Which, if you would add...
So, why is he doing that? Do they say why he's doing that?
Okay, if you're Picard, the first thing you want to do is, okay, Q brought me back for something personal. The first thing I'll do is check on my relatives.
That's a...
If you're Picard, you'd be like, well, what else would he be doing?
So some of this reminds me of the ending of Next Generation. Because did you watch that?
Next Generation? Yeah.
For All Good Things.
Yeah.
Where you have the Picard in past, present, and future, pretty much, that his consciousness keeps switching between all these times. Which, in there, it's also kind of vague. I haven't seen that for a while. But I don't remember if it was Q that was switching all of his brains around, like switching his consciousness around. Because if it was Q, it's really Q that causes the big incident that in that episode would have prevented the creation of life on Earth. So why would it's just so all these things that Q does, these things seem so circular to me. Like in here, if he's the one that sends them to this alternate timeline. Which then ends up with them going to the past to stop him from preventing his ancestor from going on the mission. It's so circular. All for what? To stop Picard from blowing himself up. But also, if they didn't go into the past, they wouldn't have. Then Jurati wouldn't have become this Borg queen. That is the one. Pretty much telling them, pushing them.
I didn't think of that.
It's so messed up, dude. Because it's so circular somehow. It's so circular. It like hurts my brain.
Yeah. I mean,
like there are some Star Trek things that are paradoxical, but this is like beyond paradoxical. Start going through your notes. So basically they go back in time and basically ends up being a circular loop where them going back in time was always meant to happen, and and that the Borg that were quote, air quotes, attacking them is actually their friend, who was one of them that went back in time. This Borg queen, it's so messed up.
As the show went on, it made less and less sense. I'm not saying it
makes less and less sense, and also gets really boring. This whole season could have been like, I think, a two-parter of Next Generation.
Not two-parter. I would say. You say it should be...
I think it could have been a two-parter at most. Maybe one episode.
No, I disagree.
I think this is the equivalent of Time's Arrow, which is the one that they go back in time and meet Guinan, but somehow she doesn't remember in this. So that... I think this is the equivalent of that. And it's like... What? But...
This...
Except this is stretched out over 10 episodes. And you're like...
It should have been 4 to 6 episodes.
It's so much less.
It's 10. It's 10 episodes.
Or they could have. It's just so bizarre. Because there are episodes where I feel like absolutely nothing happens. Or it's like them just looking for Jurati, who currently has the Borg Queen in their brain. And Picard is like in a medical clinic. Running through a dungeon or whatever. I haven't even gotten into the Picard backstory stuff yet.
I love that. I loved all that. So
okay, start going through your list.
Okay, so the first thing I wrote was the Borg is still scary. Oh wait, because I watched more of the show and they ruined the Borg. I loved it when they're on the ship and they're going back in time and the Borg were like, "Oh my gosh, the Borg!"
I'm not. What are we talking about?
Remember when they were going back and they were going around the sun?
Okay,
they were not able to.
They were doing a voyage home.
Yeah,
time travel, which is something that I was happy by because I'm always like, time travel shouldn't be that hard. It's just fly around the sun.
Yeah,
they try to say like, oh, you need a certain intelligence to do it, But I don't think Spock's like crazy more
Oh, Spock is
smart than than a human or an android
Well,
or
Spock-
a computer.
Spock did create his own timeline, where there's, Chris Pine as
He didn't make that. Well, in a way, he did.
inadvertently.
He created the wormhole that sent Nero or whatever his name was back in time. But you're saying when the Borg Queen went back in time?
Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
It was kind of interesting how they had the Borg have some sort of consciousness beyond
Yeah.
space into other time.
Yeah. Was that the
But,
same Borg Queen that was on the original ship? Like, that was also the same Borg Queen.
Wasn't the same actress, I don't think.
We don't know, because obviously we know that's Agnes. But before the jump, was that still Agnes? Or was that the
That's
Borg
what they're
Queen?
saying, though, because Guinan has a picture of Rios in her bar. Remember?
Yeah.
So I think this is all a circular loop that wouldn't have happened if Q just decided not to mess around with it. But what would have happened? What would have happened if Q didn't
Who was the
try
Borg
to
Queen?
do any of this?
Who was the Borg Queen before?
You're saying the Borg Queen that attacks the Stargazer?
Yes, before the jump. Was that Agnes?
That's paradoxical, Joey.
Because then there's been two Agneses.
In that time frame, right before Q or whatever sends them to the Confederation timeline, I think there were two Agneses in that room.
There must have been.
I think there was Borg Queen Agnes and there was Agnes there was Dr. Girardi.
There's no other excuse. I imagine just being one like the other bridge officers and be like, they're like looking at Girardi. It's like, Girardi's gone.
Right.
And then Girardi's the Borg Queen.
That's what I was saying. Like, literally, I think I told you that. I'm like, literally, she was literally a part of the crew 2 seconds ago.
Wait.
All of a sudden, this person takes out their helmet. Girardi's gone. And the Borg Queen is Girardi.
Because everybody, and because I might be thinking,
And your captain's gone, too.
yeah,
Out of
I know,
nowhere.
yeah, and they were like, hey, where's Rios? They remember Rios being the captain.
It's so messed up.
Okay, anyway, let's.
Keep going. Okay, what's next on your list?
So the Borg, I like the Borg. They ruined them
Okay.
the minute they joined with Agnes, and they had this cool Scorpius thing.
Okay. You're saying, like, brain
Yeah, yes.
consciousness.
They
Yeah.
she sank, which allowed the Borg Queen to take over, which is really cool.
Okay.
Okay. Eleanor's death was dumb.
Yeah, it was.
Eleanor.
I
why?
wasn't. I mean, over the course of the show, I became less annoyed by that and more annoyed by other things. Or just being like, this is so boring. I think having him be around, I think they should have killed Rafi like at the beginning. And it would have been
Yes.
Eleanor grieving about Rafi being gone. Because I think Eleanor, or even Seven, but I think they wanted to do the Seven Rafi relationship for whatever reason. I just can't buy that relationship for whatever
can't.
reason.
They're not alike. They're not charming
I
together.
just don't. Yeah,
They have no chemistry.
I don't know.
Where's Chakotay?
Right, I think Chakotay had more chemistry with Seven somehow. Maybe even Harry Kim did.
Yeah, seriously, anybody else?
I don't know. But what was I saying? But yeah, because they could have done a Voyage Home in terms of, because some of the best stuff in Voyage Home was Spock interacting with, 20th century Earth. That's like some of the best stuff from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Eleanor interacting with 21st century Earth could have been fun. Could have been just as entertaining. But I think they were like, oh, that might be too hard to pull off. So let's not do that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. What's next on your list?
Yeah, I don't know. Eleanor should have just stuck around.
Yeah, he should have. I agree. They tried to do that holographic thing.
Yeah.
Like the second to last episode, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, they made it clear he was coming back, and which is like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, really, everybody should have still been there.
Yeah. Genetics war. I wrote this down, but I think at the end they kind of confirmed that the genetics war is kind of created by Dr. Soon.
The whole lore around the eugenics war and genetically engineering things was very strange. So, but it was interesting because they need Brent Spiner to be in the show for some reason, I guess. But okay, I'm not against that.
Mm-hmm.
But his character was a little forced, in my opinion. They just want him to be in there. They wanted somebody from that time frame that wanted to make sure that the Confederation future would happen. I feel like they should have had somebody from the Confederation, like maybe Seven's Confederation husband.
He's dead.
Like there should have been 2 teams. There should have been a Confederation team and a Federation team that were working against each other in this time frame. They didn't really do that. I mean, they didn't do it at all. Instead, they had Sung, who Q told to do this stuff. Like, he wouldn't have done that unless Q told him to. And why? Why would Q do that?
Yeah.
For the sake of the whole lesson that he tries to reveal at the end, none of this made much sense to me.
No, it didn't.
It's really that, like, oh, Picard, you need to get over your trauma. Yeah, we'll get into the trauma later, probably.
Yes.
But you have to get over your trauma, so I'm gonna do some crazy stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Dr. Soon's ancestors all looked alike. Fun fact.
Well, yeah, we've known that.
Yeah, we've cracked jokes about that.
Because he's been Enterprise, but the thing was about his daughter air quotes. They try to reveal in a twist that, oh, she's a clone or she was genetically engineered. I'm like, that's a twist? Was that not what was assumed at the beginning of it? Because she had some genetic defect. I'm like, oh, that's obviously because she was cloned incorrectly or something.
Yep.
And then she goes through these things. I'm like, oh, they're trying to make this out to be a twist. And I think the reason I knew that right away was because of Enterprise and that character being really into the whole augment stuff. Yeah. So that was interesting, trying to pull that off as a twist. I'm like, oh, okay. I know there were some people that were like, oh yeah, I didn't get that, but that's might have been because they didn't really pay attention to Enterprise. But if you've seen Enterprise, you pretty much knew. You pretty much knew that was going on.
Yeah. You can't make robots yet. It's too soon.
No, because that's what the character from Enterprise decided. It's like, oh, we're not gonna mess with augmented humans anymore. We're gonna do robots now.
Yeah.
So
does he eventually have a kid?
This might be an uncle or something.
Oh, it could be.
Right.
Then here it's the business.
Right, because I think Renee is also not even a direct descendant. It's like a great-great-grand aunt or something. What's your next note?
Rios only arrived in 2024 for an hour and has already picked up all the doctor girls.
It's like, so one of the most disappointing things about this show is that one of our favorite characters from season 1 was Chris Rios, who was just a cool pilot. You know, he was a bit of a Han Solo-esque rogue. And then in this season, they set him up as the captain of the Stargazer. He feels like he's in his element. He's got like the style to him.
Dude, he's so cool.
And he gives it up to live because he met this woman maybe a couple days ago and instantly fell in love and is staying in the past. And they really projected that throughout the whole show. And we were hoping that he would take them to the future.
Dude, it was so, like, I thought
so many people wanted a Stargazer spinoff, dude.
It looked so
many
good.
people did, but they're like, nah, let's throw this character away.
He's probably the best new character that.
And it's not even that, like, oh, I'm disappointed. It's like he has how would Picard let him go?
Yeah,
he has responsibility. He has a duty as a Starfleet captain. He's left his ship in a dangerous situation.
Yeah. Somebody needed to slap Rios and say, "No, it's your duty." I think Rios is coming back.
But they don't. They say that he got killed in a bar fight.
I don't think that's true.
Which is horrific.
I don't think
that's... oh, that's nice. What?
I think that was a joke.
I thought I misheard it. You think it's a joke.
I think it's a joke.
I don't get any joke from that.
I think it was a joke.
Other than they smile about it. It's like, what?
I think it was, yeah, he died in Morocco where his last breath was in a cigar.
Like,
and I think Picard like smiles because I don't think Guinan telling the truth, because I think Guinan knows that Rios is going to come back. At least that's me crossing my fingers, because if she was telling the truth,
it's just so,
and that's
such wasted potential. Like, they should have done it with Raffi. I wish they left Raffi in the past.
Seriously, what if Raffi met somebody?
I mean, that
Raffi's
could
more
be
the outs.
better.
They're like Rios.
Raffi is more of an outsider. Yeah.
Raffi was like, I'm not. Or Agnes. Agnes is the most out. Nobody likes Agnes. They're so true. It's so right.
She's all right. All these characters are all right.
Yes.
But it's just like Rios was like one of our tops.
Dude, Rios, you own the room. What are you talking about you didn't fit in?
You know. Oh yeah, was it confirmed that Rios is a better pilot than Tom Paris?
He
said that he was in the simulator at like Starfleet Academy and like outdid everybody's score. Does that include Tom Paris' score?
To me,
or
experience means everything.
Maybe Tom Paris didn't run any times in the simulator yet. How old are they comparatively?
I don't know.
I would imagine Tom Paris is older.
Tom Paris might be older.
I imagine the age lines up.
I don't know. I don't think it matters.
I think it does.
Tom Paris could have been a lot better as a pilot.
It's not Ortegas. I'll say that.
Ooh. I think Tom Paris could have gotten just better through experience rather than when he's still in training.
Whatever.
A lot of your experience and how good you are comes on the field, not necessarily a simulation.
Whatever. What's next on your list, on your notes?
7 and 9, how she got her implants was dumb. It's in the exact same spot. She got stabbed in the stomach, and yet she gets implants on her face.
Because they almost imply that if she didn't, that was when I realized that, even if people stay here or they don't, like, they're not just taking back their bodies in the present. It's that literally their bodies and their beings either are going back to that present, to that future, or they aren't.
Which is weird.
Which, again, yeah, you're right. It doesn't make any sense. Which then it also implies that Elnor would have died right out unless Rios decided not to go. Or if Rios did decide to go. Because Q was like, maybe now I might have a little bit extra energy. It's like, what do you mean? How does any of this work, dude? None of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, literally just let that timeline continue from where it is right now, maybe? I don't know. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like,
just kind of a resume as if nothing happened.
It's like, right, but except if he didn't, then Picard wouldn't know that, this is obviously Jurati Borg Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And that we shouldn't, whatever. It's so bizarre. It doesn't make sense.
You're so right. It's such a circle.
It's so circular.
We hate time travel.
I mean, this isn't even just time travel. This is Q. This is like a lesson that Q tried to make that Q isn't even around to explain for most of it. This season was supposed to be the Q season. He's in like 3 episodes.
No, he's in I think all of them.
No, he's not.
Yes.
He is not in every episode. He was in like the 2nd episode to talk about the Confederation timeline. He's in a couple. He might be in like 2 or 3 scenes as the therapist, as Renee's therapist, and to tell Sung that, hey, if the bad timeline happens, then you're pretty good. You do pretty good. And basically try to get Picard killed. It's so weird.
What happened to Corey?
Weird.
Was she always gonna be set free? They kind of just leave that open.
It's so. I really don't get it.
She just kind of leaves, and I'm like, okay, that's cool.
What though? It's just so weird.
What does she do?
I don't get it.
It's just question marks all across the board.
Like, so many of the mechanics don't make all that much sense. I didn't care about so many of the scenes. Like, it's really everything that I was worried about and maybe a bit more. Because it's also incoherent. Like, up to even Guinan. They meet Guinan in the past. And there's a 2-parter in Next Generation times Arrow where they go back in time and meet Guinan in like the 1800s, I'll say. I think it's 1800s. Mm-hmm. And they meet her there. So you'd imagine Guinan in the 21st century would recognize Picard. Because they met in the 1800s. She doesn't.
Yeah.
And their explanation I've seen online is that, no, this is the past from the Confederation time. That's not how. It's not also, though. Is it, though? This is the loop. This is a part of the loop that was always meant to happen.
I don't think it was. I think we're thinking about it.
This is a loop that was always meant to happen, Joey. It's not even that, because it's not even a pass from the Confederation
in order for
timeline.
the past has become the future.
What?
It's one of those things where it's like the past has already.
Don't try to rationalize this. Don't even try.
No, it's like the moment that Q snaps his finger at the explosion, basically all of history has repeated itself.
In the Confederation timeline.
Yes.
But what happens when they go back in time, though?
Then history repeats itself according to that Confederation time.
But when they go back in time,
I need to draw it out.
When they go back in time from the Confederation future, and they create the Federation future, shouldn't that have made Federation Picard have done Time's Arrow into the 1800s?
No, because I think history would already have replayed itself twice. Because it just keeps stacking. I'm doing hand motions as if this is going to help. So you have the normal timeline of Star Trek. Then history goes through itself again. Okay? And then history goes through itself again. I'm going farther away from the mic. And this is the one where he doesn't see each other. He would in this one when the Confederation gets made. But this one, no. So it is the Confederation past.
Why couldn't they have just acknowledged that? Oh, I recognize you. Like, would it have been that hard? Did they have to have Picard spend that time trying to convince her that he's good? They could have saved time by that. Oh, I remember you. We met back then with Mark Twain.
Where's Daniels?
Right. What's up with no? Because time travel is banned in the 31st century, Joey.
Yeah.
Because that matters.
Yeah, Daniels, what is he doing? Where's our temporal authorities?
Right. We thought that could have happened. We thought that because they introduced the detective character who had some sort of close encounter with Vulcans, who was played by an actor who was who was like the first officer of the time ship Relativity. That could have been the perfect opportunity to introduce this thing.
Yes.
But no, this is the Confederation past, Joey, where they don't have the time ship Relativity in the Confederation future, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Jonathan Frakes also directs an episode.
Yeah.
Probably a couple.
Which one?
I'm not too sure.
Is it the bad episode or the horrible
I sure
episode?
I hope it's a good episode.
That's the thing. There's no good episodes.
I like this show way better than you.
The only good episode maybe is the first episode.
No.
Second one is but it doesn't even matter because it's some alternate.
The ending makes no sense.
The ending makes absolutely no sense. Do you have any other notes?
No. All I wrote was Baltar. That was my last note.
Oh yeah, so we could get into
yeah.
So this whole season's also just this big therapy session for Patrick Stewart, pretty much. Like straight up.
Just say it.
Supposedly, so there's this whole stuff about Picard maybe having an abusive dad, but then you learn that no, it's his mom who's just crazy, and his dad had to lock her away for a bit, like in her room for maybe a day or something, because they don't do it, because there's no transporters to instantly transport her to a medical place to help with that. You know, there's nothing like that. And then but then Picard, little Jean-Luc Picard, lets her out and she hangs herself. But supposedly Patrick Stewart had some family problems too, that this whole thing might be pretty much emulating. And that's how they probably got him to sign on. It's like, here's a public therapy session you can turn this into your therapy session. It's like, why? And they're trying to use this as the reason why Picard could never get close to anybody.
There's several reasons why Picard.
I don't know. It's just so... It's not a good explanation to me. Like... What are your thoughts on that? You said you liked that?
I liked it.
Like, I just didn't care.
Baltar.
Like they had
all this has happened before and will happen again.
They had the actor from Battlestar Galactica, Baltar. So now both Baltars are in Star Trek. And I liked him fine.
Yeah, he was fun.
Like, it's just like I didn't care much about it, about this whole thing, because it also doesn't make sense because in like the third or fourth episode of Next Generation, they're in like a space, they're like outside of normal space time, and things and people appear that they think of, and Picard sees like an elderly version of his mom at some point. So when I first saw, his mom hung herself and she was that young when she kills herself, I immediately thought of that episode, which I had recently watched because it was by the time I started rewatching. I'm like, but what about when she was like this elderly woman offering him tea and crumpets? And then they explain, then like pretty close after that, he says that, I've sometimes imagined her as what she would have looked like as she gotten older, offering me tea and stuff. I'm like, really? This is their explanation of why he's seen her?
Yep, I was
it's
just
like
about to...
such a retcon, dude. It's like, we recognize this is a retcon. This is kind of a retcon, but here's like a...
I like how they try to retcon that.
Here's
like there's not
a piece of tape. It's so messed up, dude.
No, I liked it. I thought it was
like,
fun.
So because this leads into my theory about this whole season. My whole theory about this whole season is that there was somebody that has seen maybe the movies of Star Trek, okay? Has seen some of the movies, maybe, okay? A couple episodes of the shows, maybe. And they decide, I'm going to write the whole plot to this season of Star Trek Picard. So they write up this whole plot, maybe with Patrick Stewart a little bit about his trauma or whatever, and hands it in to the directors and the producers, and they're like, well, what about all these different things, though? What about Q says he's dying alone? What about his
kids,
his son, and all the other Q? It's like, we don't even have to mention that. It's like, what about Guinan meeting Picard in Time's Arrow? It's like, I didn't know about that. We'll do a tweet about that. This is a different timeline past. It's like, okay, maybe.
What if
that's paradoxical enough?
What about the Q that talked about how he wanted to kill himself and how
he couldn't?
Q was like, no, that's terrible. Why would you want to do that? And now Q wants to die.
Right. Exactly. So, well, I feel like there's something else. And they sprinkled in a couple Easter eggs, like from Voyage Home and stuff. Like, I'm from Chile, but I work in space. I did like that line. They're good references.
And then there's the whole car stereo thing. That was my big thing. That's when I started screaming for you to come out of your room, but I don't think you came.
It's just... But that's my, like, honest theory about this whole season. That somebody literally wrote up this thing with like, very basic knowledge of Star Trek and all that. Like, I bet they didn't even know about the Mirror Universe, because that's what the Confederation pretty much is. The Confederation might as well be the Mirror Universe in a lot of ways. Is it better or worse? Maybe it's a bit better, but it's so much alike that I don't even care about it all that much. You know, like I don't know if they could have made it more unique, but it just it's kind of lame.
Yeah. I like this season. I think that the ending makes no sense. But when they were bouncing around in the beginning, it always kind of felt fresh and kept them getting me engaged.
Like, what about this Picard's love interest, the Romulan woman that we saw in season 1? She had a husband that they off-screen kill off to force her into the Picard romantic interest. Isn't that weird?
I thought it was cute.
I thought it was weird. Like, it's like, I get what they were trying to do.
It's weird that
it's so obvious that it's like, this is a character that maybe he could have a relationship with.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe bring back Beverly Crusher for this.
Yeah. It's weird that he had feelings for the girl in his time. But then when back in time, he also had feelings for that girl. Now he's going to go back and have feelings for...
It's really like bizarre. I don't know.
Do you have a type? I have no idea.
Like, yeah, they did the Gary 7. That was another Easter egg. Okay, whatever.
I think
Just the whole thing really kind of frustrates me.
I'm glad we agree that the cast is really good, except for maybe Agnes, which I can't stand.
It's maybe the second best cast out of the Star Treks.
Second worst?
Second best.
Oh.
And also second worst, maybe second worst.
Out of the new ones, it's right in the middle.
It's either right now, Strange New Worlds might be at the top.
Yes.
Then it's either Lower Decks or Picard.
Yeah.
Depending on what I'm into at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should count Lower Decks because that's an animated show.
Yeah, that's the reason why. Which then you'll only be doing 3 shows.
Yeah, which is middle.
Which would mean it's both second best and second worst.
Which is why I say that's why we're saying both.
Was there anything else weird about this show?
Anything else?
I should have wrote down notes. Because, yeah, there was the whole... Because you realize at the end that, Q is dying, which really obvious. And his whole reason was that I don't want you to die alone like I am. That's... as in my theory, this person, whoever wrote this, did not watch Voyager, like, at all. No. Didn't watch the... It was like, I know Q from Encounter at Farpoint, and that's it. And maybe all good things. Like, they watched the first and last episodes. Like, Q, sure, okay.
No, Q
and didn't watch Q in Voyager, where I think he has a much closer relationship with Janeway in some ways from that show.
Q, I don't think is really dying. I think there's no way he's actually dying. He's lost his powers before. Maybe it's something else.
It's like they don't explain that at all. They should have explained it.
Yeah, it would have been better.
Like, why? Like, explain why he's dying. Maybe.
They should have...
And why he's dying alone, especially.
They should have ended the past stuff way sooner and continued in the regular time.
Yeah, absolutely.
More.
The past stuff should have been
4 episodes.
3, maybe 3 episodes.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, sure, that works.
But they were like, we have to introduce a Soong. We have to do all this Borg Queen stuff for some reason that I don't think was necessary at all.
It was okay.
We have to do the Soong stuff. We have to do Renee Picard. We have to do...
Renee has depression.
We need Rios to get captured by ice real fast.
Get rid of that.
You can totally get rid of that. Like, because we've said that. I don't want to be political on this.
No.
But it's just Star Trek has been political. Star Trek, but they are usually do it in a way that they do in science fiction ways by dressing it up as something else. Mm-hmm. You know, like they do it through analogies. This was not an analogy.
No.
This was straight up a character being arrested by a group that certain people don't like.
Yeah.
It's like there's no analogy to it. It's not creative at all. It's not like what they would have done in the original series, like where they would do racism. It's like, where you have people that are too colored, like black on one side and white on the other side, and the racism was around which side was white and which side was black on a given person, and that's like awesome.
Yeah.
But this was not creative in any way.
No, it
really was horrible. Like, just not good, not interest, not creative at all.
And then Core just walks out the door. I know I mentioned that, but it's like,
Corey.
That could have all.
And then they bring in Wesley.
We didn't even get to Wesley.
Let's have Wesley show up fast. The worst character. People were, because they've announced the cast for season 3, and it's basically the next gen cast are all coming,
which
back.
is awesome.
But Wesley wasn't on there, right? Will Wheaton was not on there, and people were like, they should bring back Will Wheaton. I guess he's here, though.
Oh, he's here.
Like,
and he's probably going to be there.
Oh, great.
He'll probably be in the next season, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Season 3 of Picard looks great.
We haven't seen a trailer yet.
Nothing. We saw nothing.
So don't say it looks great. Don't say that, because it's not going to. I have a deep worry that it's not going to look great.
Oh,
but
you think so?
My thing was... I felt like I went into this kind of expecting this season to be like this. The trailer did not hide what it was going to be, did it? For this season of Picard. Were you shocked by what happened in this season based on the trailer?
Honestly, yes, but I only watched the trailer once, hated it, never watched it again.
Right, exactly. The trailer was this whole. If you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, that's interesting, then maybe you'll like it. If you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, this looks kind of lame, time travel, like kind of lameish time travel stuff, they're just in modern day, then that's exactly what you get. Except it makes even less sense because it's so paradoxical, circular paradox. Oh my gosh! Like why?
I thought they were gonna spend more time in the messed up timeline.
I think even that could have been a bit interesting, but again, that they did that in Discovery.
I love how they talked about like, okay, remember guys, no butterflies. And then you just start shooting people that are turning into Borg. Like, do these people not have families?
It's crazy.
And at the end, it's like,
but it's circular, Joe.
And they're like,
it doesn't matter because what they've done already happened. The bullet holes in the chalet were there in the future.
That can't be true. There's still overlap.
The key was in that spot that Picard uses to let her insane mother out.
Or father probably put it. His father probably put it there.
No, but no, it's not true though. Is it? I don't know. It's so messed up. It's so messed up. All to tell Picard, open your heart to other people.
Without a doubt, this show could have been better. But
this season, because again, we
liked season 1.
Season 1 was all right. You know, I liked some things about this season. I liked most of it was in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like up to, you know, including like they show a fleet of Starfleet ships that weren't just copy paste ships over and over again. Like they listen. It's almost like they listened to that critique from season 1, but then they're like. But they then hired some, like it was like the people that did the effects and did the little touches, like the different Easter eggs and stuff. They care, but whoever wrote the overall story and stuff, like overall story, could care less.
Yeah,
could care less about the overall canon and everything.
It's crazy that the best episode of the show was the first episode, and the last one was the worst. Yeah, you think it builds?
It got worse over time.
It got worse. Yeah.
Like episode 7 was the worst episode of like Star Trek. I think I said after, which one
was that? Was that when she started singing?
That was pretty much a lot of Raffi and Seven looking for Jurati.
Oh,
there was a lot of that, and that might have been when we were in Picard's brain, in Picard's mind, and nothing interesting was really happening.
Dude, then those are the monsters. I didn't understand what the monsters were really supposed to be.
No, I think they were supposed to be how he viewed his dad.
But that's so weird because his dad was so cool.
His dad was all right.
His dad was Baltar.
And there's no mention of Picard's brother at all. Like, Picard has a brother, Robert.
Yeah, I know. That would have been fun. I think that's fun.
You know, like, there's no reference of his brother. Like, again, they didn't watch those episodes. They didn't know he had a brother. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, because I rewatched that episode, Family, which is him going back home and meeting with his brother and his brother's family, which might be one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek. You know, it's like up there. It's super up there.
Mm-hmm.
And there they mention their parents arguing over whether or not to get a replicator. That's the biggest thing that they mention. Happens between their parents in that episode. Not that our mom killed herself.
They can't
or our
mention
dad
that.
might have been abusive. Like in there, it's more they mention Robert was the bully to Jean-Luc though. But there's no view of that or anything. It's like crazy to me. Like it's really doesn't fit in there. Like when you watch Next Generation and compare like the personal Picard stuff like from that episode and then compare it to this sort of backstory stuff, it doesn't mesh like at all to me. You know, like down to the visions that he has of his mom, but they try to write in like, oh no, this is why though. It's because Picard's also kind of coping with this whole thing. It's just not.
So I give the show a 1.
Give it a 1?
I give it a 1.
I give it a nut. I give it a veto that. It gets 2 zeros. It gets 2 goose eggs.
No, I actually seriously give it a 1.
Why? How?
I think.
How can you give it
I'm going to
a
change
1?
your mind. I'm going to change your mind.
Please.
So, first off, it's great seeing this cast. It's a good crew.
Even though the cast either get killed off or stay in the past and never be seen again, though?
The best characters get killed in the past, then yeah, the two best. Okay.
Right. So the cast, half of them aren't there, or half of them are pretty much wasted. Okay.
I mean,
Half of them.
Rios hasn't.
Corey gets left in the what is it? The android girl that I always forget the name of, gets left behind.
That's fine.
Elnor gets killed episode 2, pretty much.
Yeah, episode
and
3.
Rios, he's around, but he doesn't really do anything, and he is
Not coming back.
and he can't come back, pretty much.
I mean, I think that's not as big of a deal. I think
it's a huge deal.
Rios not coming back. I think he will.
Those were like the 3 best characters.
I don't.
And then they
think
do the whole and then Seven and Rafi's whole arc is them trying to be in a relationship. You're telling me that? Okay, the cast, perfect, perfect cast.
No, I think Picard, Rios.
What does Picard really do in this season, though?
He deals with his trauma.
He has one.
Talks
he
to
has
Rennie.
one thing, right?
Rennie.
That's the one thing.
His
that I
speech
think
in the
is,
beginning,
like, great.
awesome.
Which speech? The Academy speech? Okay, outside of the first episode, it's the Renee talk and, like, nothing else. There's, like, nothing else. He hugs Q, okay.
Yeah, he hugs Q, which is very, very fun.
Because Q is dying. Somehow. They don't explain how. They give no explanation how Q is dying. That on its own could be the whole plot of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
It should have been.
It totally...
That should have been the second half of the show.
That's what the twist should have been. Instead of... oh, Corey's a clone? Wow.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that.
It's
This show is so flawed, but I liked it better than Moon Knight. I think if you had to choose between Picard and Moon Knight,
oh my gosh, no
watch
way.
Picard.
No way.
Yes.
You could skip this entire season, I bet. If we go into season 3, I bet to watch season 3 you won't have to watch this season at all. Outside of maybe having...
No, that Agnes is a bore.
Right, pretty much. And that Rios
Gone.
stayed with his past girlfriend. His girlfriend in the past. Who he knew for a matter of hours. And decides, I'm going to give up my duty.
Not hours.
It was hours. I mean,
A week.
48 hours. It was not a week.
Oh, wait. Didn't they say it's like 3 days?
At some point, they
Yeah, they
said
said
like
like
a
3
number
days.
of days. So it might have been like
4 days.
like 72 hours. Like, there was a deadline for when the launch was going to happen.
Yeah.
That was
They
pretty
said it was
soon.
3 days.
Yeah. So that's like 72 hours. He knew her for a number of hours.
Uh-huh.
And decides, I am going to
I thought it was...
renege on my duties as a Starfleet captain
I thought
and all the responsibilities.
it was funny that they said, okay, guys, no hospitals, no butterflies, no police.
Immediately, Rios gets involved
Immediately,
in that
Rios falls,
I mean,
hits
like-
his head, goes to a hospital.
and gets arrested by ICE.
Yeah, then gets arrested by ICE. Crazy. But I thought it was so funny.
It's like, obviously, it's just like...
No,
It's
no.
so boring, though, too, though. It's so
It's
boring.
not that point.
It's
I thought it was pretty
boring.
fun in that part. It's when the start...
For me, though, it's like they're going to... I knew that immediately they were going to drag that out for as long as they could. And they did. They pretty much did.
What,
Bye.
the ICE stuff?
Just Rios just getting trapped in the past, pretty much.
Oh, that was fine.
Rios getting arrested, or getting hurt and arrested, and which leads to a bunch of other stuff. And then it ends with him staying in the past, which...
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing. What about Girardi singing her musical number?
You're only mentioning the bad stuff. Have we mentioned the good
What
stuff?
about that? What about that moment?
What if we mentioned the good stuff?
I mentioned the fleet that arrived to meet the Borg.
That's so cool.
That was the best thing. Yeah. There's just nothing much after that.
There's a lot of cool stuff, and the Voyage Home references are so good.
Those aren't advancing anything, though.
There's a lot of small stuff. Rios
Right.
freaking out about the
It's all
peanut butter
super-
cookies.
I don't even remember that.
You don't? No, it was all.
There's
There's
probably falling asleep at that point.
there is more good for in this show.
Or no, I fell asleep during Halo. I think one episode I was falling asleep.
No, it's good. I think go into it with an open mind. Forget everything that we just said and
I
laughed.
did, though. I went in with a totally... I'm like, all right, I know I didn't like the trailer, but maybe they can do something. Maybe it can be charming at the very least. But I don't even think it was charming. I think they just really
I
messed
think
up. I think
this is
everything that could have been interesting, they either didn't care to elaborate,
Mhm.
or was wasted because the person that wrote this season didn't know what the hell they were writing about.
I think these are four things that we have to mention. You love Next Generation. You like Next Generation.
I don't love.
You like Next
It's
Generation.
it has good arcs.
I do not like Next Generation.
It has some bad episodes, especially because I've been rewatching it. The first two seasons are kind of rough, but once you get into season 3, it picks up. Season 4 especially is like really good. That's what I'm on right now. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah.
you like Next Generation. I don't really like Next Generation.
Okay.
You watch this week to week. I binged it in a matter of 4 days.
Yeah, you did. Do you think binging has helped
It
you?
it has to be, because that's why I think we. Because I think
I think. Wait, I don't know, because I don't know if I would have wanted to watch. 3 episodes. I don't think I would have wanted to watch all the stuff in the past, like back to back to back.
I have watched this show and just need a breather, so I have just walked away for a little bit and then came back to watch the next one.
To go from like, oh, we're looking for Girardi, who's running around Los Angeles, and we gotta talk about relationship 7. We have to talk about that, to the next episode where it's Guinan and Picard are arrested by some guy in the FBI.
But he already made first contact, and he tried. Are you sure it's not like this? And he holds up 3 fingers.
Then to the next episode when they're running in the basement of Chateau Picard. And the Borg commandos are coming after him. It's just so much unnecessary fluff. Really annoying to me. It's just not.
Yeah.
This season was not fun for me, like really at all.
I
get angry thinking about it.
Clearly.
I've been getting so mad about this season.
If you had to watch a Star Trek show right now, Strange New Worlds is the way to go, and it's not even out yet. It's not even completely done.
It's not done yet. I'm not, because Strange New Worlds has had its problems. It's had some problems that I think, like, okay, do these choices make that much sense? I don't know. But so far it's been refreshing compared to this, where this is this is the story arc over the course of 10 episodes that
How many episodes of Strange New Worlds?
I don't know. I haven't looked that up.
I hope it's a lot.
But this show also has what I call Flash syndrome, which is where for some reason every character needs screen time in every episode and needs like an arc in every episode.
Which one, Picard?
Picard, yeah. This has total Flash syndrome where it's time. It's like, all right, cut to Corey and Soong. Okay, Corey has to have everything. Now cut to Rafi and Seven real fast. Okay. Cut to Rios and with this boy, and they're drawing chalk on the walls. Okay, now cut to Picard having childhood trauma. Okay, cut to
Q, snapping his fingers.
Oh,
I can't. None of this is working. That's never happened before.
Cut to Agnes with the Borg Queen. It's like, oh, I've always been alone, but maybe now I'm not alone because I have this woman in my head. It's so messed up. So, also, if Girardi has always been around, pretty much since then, right? And she's just let the Borg mass murder people for hundreds of years since then. They don't explain if her collective is any different from the collective that we've known.
She could have made her own section of the collective.
They haven't said that, though, right? Which then is also like, this isn't really the Borg joining the Federation.
I think it's more of a...
This is some weird section.
Yeah, it has to be that.
But they don't explain that. They don't explain, like, anything in the last episode. They don't explain why Q dies. They don't explain...
I don't think he's dead yet.
They don't explain, like, really what sent them into the alternate timeline. You're kind of meant to assume it's Q, but I have a tough time believing that, because why would he do that? Because it just creates this circular thing. and then they don't explain. It's just so bizarre. Suddenly Picard's like, "Oh, Seven, you have experience with the Borg. You're in command of the Stargazer now." It's like she has no command experience though. Raffi would have been a better choice to command because at least she's like a commander rank, right? Mm-hmm. She was the actual first officer with Picard for a while.
I mean, it's not like they put Elnor in charge,
right? Because Elnor couldn't get any time in the season. They're like, nah.
Elnor, no. I know how cool it was to go see Spock walk around Earth during Voyage Home.
It's not even like oh, that's so fun. It's like it at least makes it entertaining.
Yeah.
Instead of just some humans walking around doing things.
Yeah. We were robbed of a better season. But is it that bad?
It's so bad.
At the bare minimum, watch it for season 3. I know I don't like to say that though.
Again,
but it's
I think
good enough.
You could skip this season, to be honest. I don't know if this is going to have any bearing on season 3.
It's good enough.
Season 1 didn't have any bearing on this season, did it? Not really. Like, the whole android stuff doesn't really come into play at all?
No.
Like, yeah, I don't think season 1 has any bearing on this season.
I wish that what's her name went back in time.
Who? Android girl?
Yeah. Android girl.
I can't remember her name. Do I have to look up the name? There's gonna be like 3 names under.
The only character's name that wasn't Picard that I remembered from season 1 was Rios. Sure. And he's gone.
He's gone.
I'm gonna remember Agnes probably now.
Oh my gosh. So where is he? We don't see the Romulan guy from last time. Narek, remember?
Narek?
Yeah, remember the one that like seduces android girl?
Oh.
Remember? Yeah. Soji is android girl.
Soji?
Yeah, Soji.
Okay.
Yeah, this whole season was.
Maybe you need to sleep on it.
Just not great. I've slept on it for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, I've slept on this show.
You thought you were done, but then I decided, hey, let's go watch it for the podcast.
Do we both get a veto?
Do we?
I'm gonna declare this now. I'm going to declare rule of veto. Oh shoot, we've been going so long the outro music started playing.
Really?
Yeah.
You gotta keep in the outro music and then play the outro music again.
Okay. It's like telling us like, okay, we get it. You guys, you don't. I'm gonna declare this is the first use of a veto, of a score veto. I veto your score. This gets 2 zeros.
Oh my gosh, what?
The season 2 of Picard, 2 zeros. Final score.
Okay.
So you get to veto a score of mine at some point.
Can I do a past score?
From this point on. It has to be from this point on.
Oh my gosh. Jungle Cruise! Both do ones! Let's go!
No, you don't get. It can't be a past score. It has to be one going forward.
So, I liked our Jungle Cruise episode. I think we should go back on.
So you're gonna forget about that veto, and it's not gonna matter. So
probably. We'll see how I like Doctor Strange.
And I can't declare another veto until you use your veto. We'll say that.
Okay.
Same way back and forth.
Okay.
This is gonna be. We'll write that in the Constitution of the Fast and Lightspeed podcast.
But then you're gonna think in some weird way. Even if I veto you, you're gonna be like, yeah, but it's still a 3. Because of binary. Because I don't know binary. It would be more like you just add another 0, and that's like, yeah, but that doesn't really matter. Like you're gonna figure out some binary way.
Okay, so that's the end of our review. So Moon Knight got a 1 from me and a 0 from you, and this one I vetoed, so it's a 2 zeros. But it would have gotten a 1 based on your review. But the official score is 0. Okay. In terms of, this is usually where we talk about our news, but we kind of start off with the news. Is that we've got a website going.
We never talked about any other news. We didn't talk about She-Hulk.
Oh, I didn't want to. I knew that our reviews would take forever. We can talk about that.
She-Hulk looks bad. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, to me it didn't look great.
Starfield being postponed. Literally no game coming out this year that I care about anymore.
But yeah, our news, we have a website going, so you can listen to it via a website now. I don't think we have the RSS feed ready yet, so
Probably not.
once we get that, we'll have it on Spotify and
And then-
iTunes and stuff.
And then I'm sharing
Or
this
Apple or
with
whatever.
all my friends.
Yeah, so we'll get that working. Do you have anything you would like to mention? I think our next episode was going to be Halo, the series.
We'll see if I can get through it. I'll try.
Yeah, we'll do Halo, the series. We need to, and hopefully you can watch Doctor Strange before then.
I will.
So maybe we'll get another double review.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything from you?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
Take us away, Captain.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Faster Than Lightspeed podcast. Check us out on Twitter, where I have not posted anything for the longest times. Maybe I should start posting that. And you'll find info about the show. Check out our website, fasterthanlightspeed.com. It'll be in the description, I'm sure. This has been your Captain Kenny with my XO.
Joey.
And this has been the Faster Than Lightspeed podcast.